Welcome back to Media Week. We have our co-host James Manning, editor and publisher of Media Week, with us in the studio. Let's now take a look at the ratings, though, for week 10, kicking it off with free to air. And James, the tennis really dominating this week. Probably no surprises there.
Yeah. Look, did very well. A couple of the semi-finals there. I think the on the second page there, this is probably the women's final. We won't get to see the men's final until next week's figures because that was on the Sunday night. But the Asian Cup doing pretty well for the ABC there. It went into extra time, which really pushed their audiences higher. So we see a couple of entries there for it in the top 10.
Yeah, all right. Let's take a look at subscription TV ratings as well for week 5. This one, Asian Cup sport, really dominating all over this as well.
Asian Cup doing very well at the pointy end of the competition there for Fox Sports. They got some Auckland 9, so the NRL sort of kicked off in a way, bit of pre-season competition, if you like, but did pretty well for them last weekend.
OK, let's look then, of course, more on television ratings and the broader environment, as well as how the summer's been tracking. Melissa Hay, head of screen trading at OMD, joining us now in the studio. Melissa, good to have your company on the show. Just your thoughts on how the summer's been tracking for channels.
Summer's been going well, and as you just saw, it's all about live sport. It's what everybody wants to see. There's nothing else on a lot. It's usually repeats or old programming. They're holding back, obviously, for survey. So, yeah, it's all about live sports, all of them.
The biggest time of the year for live sport, you could say.
Yes, because even this year, like, the big bashes performed really well. You've got the tennis and the cricket, so it's all there. It's all fighting for the TV viewer.
So we've had, every year it seems to get a little bit earlier, but it probably doesn't. So I think the tennis seemed to go maybe a week later this year than it normally does. But the sort of phony ratings we're having now, if you like, in the lead up, does this last week and particularly this week, does it give us much of an indication of early performance, up to Easter?
I think so, especially this week with what's happened this week, because we've only had, it was Sunday night, we had a bit of sport there competing, but this week it's been all about the reality shows, and I guess the network's getting back to their programming and launching their big shows for the first quarter, so it is a pretty good indication.
Well, speaking of that, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. What did OMD clients think of this one, and what do you think of it so far?
So far, I think it launched really well, and I'd say that's the power of marketing, because you saw 10 really push that, so no surprises and a great result for the Sunday. I would say last night's probably where it's dropped down. They'd be a bit disappointed because I think they were hoping to sit around 800, 700, so that would have been where they would have liked. I would have liked it sitting around 700 as well, which is probably what I hoped. So, yeah, I think hopefully it can pick back up again. Any
concerns there about the block for 9? Seems to be getting sort of bit of damage in the crossfire. It's not making any headway against 7 and MKR, but I guess Celebrity's also taking some of their audience.
Yes, I'd say Celebrity and the Block have got really similar audiences. It's family viewing. Kids are, like, the Block was known for sit-down family viewing with their kids, and I think Celebrity's really similar to that, so they are fighting out. It'll be interesting next week to see how they both go and which one sort of pick up. Obviously, the Block picks up as you get closer to the finals, and they're sort of going in the rounds at the moment, so I do expect them to come back a little bit. But the same with Celebrity, because they go into elimination as well.
What can you tell us about TV ad rate rises? How bullish were the networks going into 2015?
They were all bullish. They always like to come in quite tough. I think it's actually... They started off tough with high rate card increases, but I think the market probably was a little bit soft, and you'll see them now sort of fighting against each other, and they're all quite full at the moment, so I wonder how they've sold their inventory and if they've undersold it.
Right, so you were happy with your sort of outcome, though?
At the moment, yes.
There's still a bit to play out, is there?
Yes, there is, I think so.
Yeah, OK.
But do you think we'll start to see a bit of money sort of drift away if there are continual audience declines?
So I don't actually think it's audience declines overall. It's about fragmentation. It's about audiences spreading over into different areas. The introduction of video online, everyone's talking about with Stan and Presto coming in. I actually don't think it'll affect free-to-air as much as it'll affect Foxtel.
I just want to chuck in a question about Twitter TV ratings too. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because any information's good, I guess, when you're working in the sector. But can it affect buying decisions, that sort of data?
I think it affects sponsorships to a level, not necessarily probably buying, because Twitter ratings really shows an engagement level. Celebrity's obviously got the highest sort of Twitter ratings and engagement currently, but it's the lowest out of the 3. So you've got to take it on face value. And for me, it does mean probably more about engagement versus actual total viewing numbers.
Yeah.
What do you think about the size of TV audiences? I mean, can broadcasters do more to prop up the business?
If they show good exclusive content, yes, it comes down to content. Content is king. They keep saying it. They've always said it, and I still think that is key.
Well, Melissa Hay, we might leave it there, Head of Screen Trading there at OMD. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
James, just speaking of exclusive content and ratings, this week we've got the ratings year starting on Sunday night, kicking it off with, of course, Sydney Siege. Productions. What are we hearing?
Yeah, look, it's interesting. Both 7 and 9 are going to go head to head with specials. I think they've got. They've got 14 of the 16 hostages decided to speak. I think 8 of them talked to 9. 6 of them talked to Channel 7. Both specials are going to go out around 6:30. 7's calling theirs a 7 News special, but 9 have branded it a special edition of 60 Minutes. Liz Hayes is their reporter there. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how those two go.
It'll be tight.
Yeah, and there's 2 hostages which have decided not to speak too, so it's sort of interesting too. 9's got they've recreated sort of with actors what sort of went on too inside.
Because the promos have already gone out for these shows, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So it'd be fascinating to see, and it's I think that 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours, some of these are going to go, so it'll really test the audience interested in this and, how palatable a sort of a topic it is for them to relive, I guess.
And we had 3 major reality properties go head-to-head this week. Who was the winner?
Yeah, look, as Melissa said, I think it was, MKR was really, put down the glasses. They were really streaks ahead. There's a lot to play out in this though, as there's a lot more interest as these shows started to get down and start the eliminations come in and stuff like that. But certainly My Kitchen Rules, you think they've probably got no problem there. It's really the Block and I'm a Celebrity fighting for that silver medal.
Yeah, it's all about those reality shows at the moment. And also Astra. It's that time of the year. They've released details of their 2015 awards. Where are they going to be held this year?
The awards, they're moving. They were out of town a little bit, out in Redfern, in West Sydney last year, if you like. They're back in the inner city at the Star, back on the edge of Darling Harbour. The date is Thursday, March 12. And as I think we mentioned briefly last week, they're going to pay a little tribute to the sector, which is sort of 20 years old.
There you have it. All right, well, that is unfortunately all we have time for on this edition of Media Week. Big thank you to James Manning, editor and publisher of Media Week, our co-host. From the team here, thanks for your company.